This was Dev Day yesterday. Every year, OpenAI invite a bunch of people, bunch of devs, bunch of journalists, bunch of AI folk, and they get together and they release a bunch of stuff. Now, yesterday, I think, was maybe not kind of as impactful as maybe the last year was, but they still released some cool stuff. So I thought we'd run through it together today. This is the main page. This is on the OpenAI website. And they say, this year we introduced a bunch of next generation of tools and models to help developers build faster agents more reliably and scale their apps within ChatGPT. So this is what they announced. We've got some stats. 4 million developers have currently built on top of OpenAI. We have 800 weekly ChatGPT users, 6 billion tokens per minute on the API platform. That is quite a considerable chunk of tokens going through on the API. And here's what they announced. First up, they announced apps inside of ChatGPT, which means you can chat with apps directly inside of the chat and build them with the apps SDK in preview. This means that if you've already got an experience, say you own a website and that people can go on that website and do stuff, now you can actually create a app which lives inside ChatGPT with their apps SDK. So when people perform a search, an app pops up so people can interact with your product, service, business, whatever it is, without having to leave the chat, which is really cool. They also released Agent Kit, which is a toolkit for building production grade agents. We're going to cover that in a second. They released Sora 2 inside of the API, which enables developers to integrate their amazing video generation model inside of their app directly in the API. A couple of new features for Codex, which is a Slack integration, Codex SDK, and enterprise controls. We won't be covering that too much today. GPT-5 Pro is in the API, the smartest, most expensive model, I think, or one of the most expensive models now available in the API. GPT Real-Time Mini, a smaller voice model that's 70% less expensive than the large model. So if you're thinking about deploying voice agents at scale, their real-time API, GPT Real-Time Mini, is actually looking really good for this. So you can now get that for 70% less. Okay, so the first story that we want to cover today is, I think, not the real-time mini. It's going to be this one, which is the ChatGPT in the new apps SDK. It's a new generation of apps that you can chat with and the tools for developers to build them. I'm going to share this sound too, just so you can get the full Dev Day experience. Let me just see if we can open this up. Let's just swap the window to this tab. And here we go. Okay, for me, this was, I think, the main feature, the most exciting feature that came out of Dev Day. You can obviously see what that experience looks like, where companies like Coursera, Canva, Expedia, these are all things that people search for inside of ChatGPT quite a lot. So now what you can do, they've created their apps, obviously Spotify too, that rather than getting a playlist, getting diverted out of the app, this actually happens all inside ChatGPT for a more native experience. And I think what people will find is this actually converts much better too, because it's exactly where the user is. Now, this is a much better experience, but now you can actually develop these yourself. So here is a bit of the spiel. Today, we're introducing a new generation of apps you can chat with right inside of ChatGPT. Developers can start building them today with the new apps SDK. Bit of a arbitrage here if you're a developer wanting to build apps for people. Maybe you set up a little studio to actually build these for companies, so they can now leverage this directly inside of ChatGPT. Apps naturally fit into the conversation. You can discover them, and ChatGPT suggests one at the right time. And you bet that they're going to be recommending these above other things too. So rather than recommend external websites, if there's going to be an app for it, they're going to push this too. So there's probably going to be a nice bump in traffic. Apps will be available today to all logged in ChatGPT users outside of the EU, free Go Plus and Pro plans. Our pilot partners, Booking.com, Canva, Coursera, Figma, Expedia, Spotify, and Zillow, are also available today in markets where the services are offered, starting in English. More pilot partners will launch later this year, and we expect to bring apps to the EU users soon. Come on, EU. We need the apps. Let's let down regulation a little bit so we can get up to speed with the apps SDK pretty soon, because this is going to be quite the impactful technology, in my opinion. Developers can start building and testing apps today with the new Apps SDK preview, releasing on an open standard built on the Model Context Protocol, which is MCP. It's basically like a natural language way that LLM-powered apps can interface with APIs, and this is the new protocol that's been adopted across the board in the AI world. To start building, visit our documentation for guidelines and example apps, and you test your apps using developer mode in ChatGPT. Later this year, they're going to begin accepting app submissions for review and publication. So it's a good time to start testing and figuring out how to build them. And then they'll share more details of how developers can monetize their apps shortly. I guess we understand how this is going to work depending on when or the type of user query that comes through. ChatGPT is going to automatically determine if they should serve the app and what part of the app should be served. This just goes on to explain it, and they're available today. So that's a pretty good, very good actually update from them. If they've got 800 million users and you are getting recommended as the app for X inside of ChatGPT, then I'm guessing they're going to throw a ton of traffic at you. So yeah, kudos to all the initial partners involved there. Okay, this is the full breakdown of the announcement. I think we just watched this video. We saw Figma, Booking.com, Spotify, Zillow, etc. And here are some of the ideas. You can book a trip directly in ChatGPT, use Canva to create presentations, learn with Coursera directly in there, so you can see all the materials popping directly up, which is cool. Organize your getaway with Expedia. Realize I'm sharing the completely wrong screen. So here we go. You can chat with apps in ChatGPT, plan a trip with Booking.com, create with Canva in ChatGPT, learn with Coursera, organize your getaway with Expedia, generate diagrams with Figma, build playlists with Spotify, search for homes with Zillow, and all the apps will start rolling out today, as long as you're outside the EU. Cool. This was a good take, actually, from Anish from A16Z. And he says the open question was answered today. What will the AI native distribution channel be? It looks like ChatGPT will be the channel with 800 million active users and the app's SDK. This is likely as important as Steve Jobs announcing the App Store in March 2008. So if I pop this open, here is like a bit of extra context of exactly what's going on. Someone's having a conversation, and the query here is, can you send me a list of pizza restaurants in San Francisco? And then ChatGPT will surface the Pizzas app directly with a list of options for you. So it says, here's a few standout pizzerias to keep on your radar before you decide. Then it gives you one, which you can then select. You can open it up and it shows your menu, and then it shows you the location. So you can actually serve any app functionality directly in ChatGPT, like a map, like navigation. You can even order. And this is a native experience, which I think is going to do really well. So you can think of it, this new rollout, as being a bit of an app store, but for ChatGPT. I think they tried this somewhat with GPTs, which was standalone wrappers or like standalone ChatGPT like experiences, but they had certain tools they can use, but it was a bit clunky, never really kind of got the uptake. But now this is native apps inside of ChatGPT's chat. And I think this will do a lot better. Now, if this is going to be the front door for all how we discover and use digital products just through this chat bar or this chat interface, then I think that could be fairly good. So if you've got an agency, I'd hop on that pretty quick. Okay, this is Agent Kit. Now, Agent Kit was me a bit underwhelming, but we'll go through it anyway because I think it's an important part of how people are going to design, deploy, and optimize like agents inside of ChatGPT, or if they want to use the full OpenAI ecosystem with its own models without having to go outside of it too much. I think Agent Kit is going to do good. Apparently, it was built in 6 weeks just using Codex. But here is the scoop. It's basically a way for people to build agents visually on a canvas, plug and play interfaces with ChatKit. It's both for developers and operational teams. Let me just see if I can show you what it looks like. Here's what it looks like. It's, if you've done any automation before, it's going to look quite familiar. You've got a start. This allows you to have some guardrails, a classification agent, and then an if statement, and then a bunch of other agents to do its thing. So under the surface, doesn't look too complex, but it's basically a workflow builder. It's going to come with templates. It's going to come with versioning. It's going to be fully within the OpenAI ecosystem. So it's going to have all its necessary optional guardrails in place, a registry for connectors. So if you wanted to bring in other apps like Google Drive, or you wanted to use Zapier, you can do. And I think it fits in a bit of a weird place, to be honest. It's not for no code builders. It's not for like super technical people who want to use like a automation platform like Tray, for instance, or high-end Zapier users. It's not going to be for them. But if people were wanting to build native applications just with OpenAI, then they're going to start using this. So that's a breakdown. I think this was a bit underwhelming for me, but this is a quote from LY. It says, Agent Builder allowed us to orchestrate agents in a whole new way. With engineers and subject matter experts collaborating in all-in-one interface, we built our first multi-agentic workflow and ran it in less than 2 hours, dramatically accelerating the time to create and deploy agents. Yeah, okay. This was actually probably one of the things that I like the most. There's a thing called ChatKit, which makes it very simple for people to actually create like dynamic front ends. This is a bit devy, so don't worry if you aren't following so much. But what you can actually do with ChatKit is you can create like dynamic UIs. So if you see a few examples here, it says ChatKit already powers a range of use cases from internal knowledge assistants and onboarding guides to customer support and research agents. HubSpot's customer support agent is one example. Here's another example from Ramp. Here's another one. You get these custom widgets on the right-hand side. Here's one from HubSpot. You might start getting familiar with these experiences. These are all powered by ChatKit. Here's Canva. Again, your assistant's popping up in here. This is within its documentation. Actively, and so on and so forth. You've got Evernote, Taboola. Okay, but now you can use ChatKit to integrate with your own apps. I think personally, we're going to have to see how this lands. I think there's probably better agent builders out there right now, but I guess this was actually built and launched fairly quickly. I'd probably recommend something like a Stack AI is a really good tool, or Crew AI is also a really good tool, or even if you're building agents with NAN. But I think the way that this has an advantage is it kind of slots in with the rest of OpenAI's ecosystem, like its widget builder, which it has too, like its own models. There's likely going to be some gated features, and also the main one is the actual apps which can appear natively inside of ChatGPT conversations. So that's Agent Kit, a whole new set of tools for deploying and optimizing agents. I wanted to mention, if you're actually looking to build cross-platform applications in general, if you're a developer, then Expo is actually a really good way to do that. It's a full stack React Native framework with powerful cloud services to help you move faster at every stage of the app cycle, and they support this stream. So shout out to Expo. This was actually a good breakdown from Every, who covered the event live. They have a good feature called Vibe Check, and this was a vibe check on the DevDay, and this was their take. They say they launched three big things: apps in ChatGPT with Apps SDK, Agent Kit, which is a no-code agent builder, and then new models in the API, GPT-5 Pro, Sora 2, and voice model. Now, they said this: overall, it was a solid day on a few fronts, but it was missing some of the mind-blowing moments for developers of DevDay's past. Agreed. They did a big reasoning model in O1, featured the real-time API, and then this was kind of not quite there, but promising. So talk to your apps in ChatGPT. I really like that one. And then they go on to explore the whole breakdown. Agent Kit, a feast for AI operations. I'm probably less bullish than them, but they say OpenAI is coming for all the developer adjacent use cases that are becoming popular with the growing importance of AI operations. I agree. Cora general manager Kieran, who works at Every, observed that Agent Kit isn't so much of an agent builder, which allows AI to go down different paths to accomplish a goal, as it is a workflow builder. I agree. So an agent is kind of, you give it instructions and it goes off and it figures it out. If you've ever used something like a Manus or a GenSpark or something like that. And it is a workflow builder, as it is a workflow builder, where a business user can define a specific end process for the AI to follow. Yeah, I agree. He says, this is a great move for OpenAI, one we're likely to use immediately. We're already building these kind of workflows for customer service using a bunch of hacked together solutions from companies like Zapier and Gumloop. Now that OpenAI has a version of this, we can't not consider switching. It's much easier to have everything in the same ecosystem. Yeah, this is the problem though. If people are going to need to switch, they're going to need to be able to connect all their apps. I know that there is a connector for Zapier inside of the workflow builder, but I don't think it's going to be robust enough to move everything straight away, and it's a bit clunky. Closing thoughts. Dan's take: DevDay was a little boring for developers, but very exciting if you're an AI operations pro. Alex's take: where is the vision and who is it? Who is it for? I agree. I would probably love to see some sort of like vibe coding platform built from OpenAI. And yeah, that's the breakdown from Every. I think overall quite underwhelming, but potentially big in the long run. This was just a touch on the GPT-5 real-time mini got a price reduction. So if you're building high throughput voice AI applications that may be more like transactional, then this will be nice, a lot cheaper. And then video generation with Sora, which is now available on the API. So before you'd have to use just the GUI interface, you'd have to log in, upload a video, or log into Sora, upload a video. Now you can create your own apps that use the API and model your own experiences around it, because you can just plug it into your app to let your users create stuff. If you haven't used it, or if you're just getting up to speed with what it is, Sora 2 is the latest video generation model from OpenAI. They also have Sora 2 Pro, which produces higher quality results. And this is some details about how you can actually use it under the API and their guardrails, prompting tips, etc. But yeah, if you're looking for a video model, then you're probably not going to go far wrong with Sora, as it's probably best in class right now. Saying that, there has been a lot of guardrails land from Sora. So if you were following this story recently, the released Sora, and it was a free-for-all. You can create any character in any situation. Didn't really matter about IP. Now the kibosh has been put, and Khan says this: due to OpenAI guardrails, using Sora became impossible and not fun anymore. Makes sense. So you can't create a large green ogre with a friendly but neutral expression. I think you might be trying to generate someone like Shrek, for instance. A large green humanoid creature with a neutral expression, a large green ogre. So all of these are now hitting content violations. So it looks like there's been some heavy restrictions put on Sora pretty quickly, which I think is not doing anyone. People are not enjoying it. Basically, it started out as really fun, and I think they're trying to work out how they can not get sued into oblivion by letting people create 100 different Marios in different situations or create Shrek. They'd have to explicitly opt in. Actually, you have to explicitly opt out. But I think they might be tweaking this because I'm sure there's been some big IP owners on the phone saying, I think you're going about this wrong. So we'll see if that does open back up. But for now, it's been nerfed. OpenAI also acquired a financial AI startup, Roy, to personalize investing. So this was an app that was founded and aimed at making investing more accessible. They developed AI tools to deliver personalized financial insights and education. And this was a actual surprise acquisition from OpenAI. On October the 4th, they acquired Roy, a startup focused on using AI to personalize investing experiences. We've seen them buy a lot of different companies, and this one was actually a bit of a surprising one because it kind of leads towards the fact they might actually become more of a super app, a general app across not only ChatGPT, but things like investing, like saving. Maybe they're going to issue cards in the future. If they do want to go down to the everything app. There's also the addition of one of Sam's other investments, which is World, which was WorldCoin, which does the iris scanning thing with the orb. This is linked to stuff like proof of human, which then you can prove you're a human and not an AI. This is going to be tied with your ChatGPT account or OpenAI account at some point. So why not go for the whole cake, build the everything app that you can tie everything into? And this was just an interesting data point to say they might be actually thinking about it. So this is going to be winding down the startup. Only the Roy's co-founder and CEO are joining OpenAI, while the company's standalone operations will be discontinued. Details of the acquisition, including financial terms, were not discussed. This is a good point too. They recently launched ChatGPT Pulse and instant checkout, which means your shopping is now being brought inside of ChatGPT. So if your shopping's in there, why not bring the rest of the stack in too?